Backrooms is a psychological thriller released in 2026, directed by ambitious filmmaker Kane Parsons, and adapted from Parsons' series of short films on YouTube that follow various people being transported to liminal spaces with more questions than answers, and usually never returning. Hi, my name is Finn, and this is my review of The Backrooms. The film follows Clark, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, a financially struggling furniture salesman who discovers a portal to another dimension of liminal spaces in the basement of his store, and meanwhile dealing with mental issues stemming from his marriage by talking to his therapist, Mary, played by Renate Reinsve, who eventually looks into this liminal place Clark tells her about and discovers the effect this place has had on his already fragile mental state. This film tackles some really emotionally mature themes in a really emotionally mature way. Parsons turned The Backrooms into a Silent Hill type of horror, where your mental issues become physically embodied as creatures or become amplified. The still life of some really disturbing designs, and the idea of The Backrooms having some sort of sentience in the fact that it tries to remember, but it does it wrong, hence why the still life can only resemble what it remembers, but not be anything like it, is a really interesting concept, I think. The Backrooms design itself is very well built from the YouTube series, with more strange changes in architecture and the remnants from the real world oozing into it, but the two worlds aren't separate but glued together, and so they become one, or that the Backrooms is trying to become the world we live in but simply can't. This kind of discussion is the reason why I think the Backrooms is so effective. It gives you a lot of unexplained ideas and lets you come to your own conclusions and doesn't spoon-feed you the answers. That's not to say that giving your audience closure or answers is bad, but for films like this to function, they have to leave gaps where your understanding can fill it in. The YouTube series also does this, and Async, the fictional company that researches the Backrooms, may be constantly learning about it, but they will never know any more than us, no matter how hard they try to change that. Overall, a super effective and super interesting jab at taking an already existing concept and putting it on the big screen for a more mainstream audience. Fans of Parsons' series and people who have never heard of the series can equally enjoy this. A slow burn, character driven psychological thriller with a scarce amount of gore, but when there is, it's powerful enough to make me squirm in my chair. This film had me uneasy, whether it be the actual gore or the foreboding nature of the unknown, constantly crushing me as they delve deeper in the yellow-tinged hellscape. Found footage scenes were a highlight for me, showing Parsons understands what made his creation so disturbing in the first place. It is not a masterpiece by any means. I loved it. I think it's a very great film. I highly recommend it to anyone who's a fan of the Backrooms horror. And I hold it very high. But, big but here, I've seen so much discourse online about how it turned out. I would like to now address all of the shallow criticism. I've seen tons of it throughout social media. And before I do, I would like to say that none of what I'm about to say in any way is disregarding negative criticism. You're allowed to not like the film. That is a given. Why am I even saying this? Because it's a given. But to really dislike something, you've got to understand it. So I'm going to take this time to go over what criticism I've seen. And you don't have to change your opinion or even like it any more or any less. Just hear me out. Firstly, The Backrooms is based on the YouTube series made by Kane Parsons. It doesn't adapt fan lore, or video games, or books, or any other media. Only what Parsons wanted from his mind, not anyone else's. I respect his creative freedom on this film, and I respect that he stuck to his guns and made a film that's truly his, and he didn't try to pander it to this new image of the Backrooms caused by social media and Roblox. Although, while I think Parsons' creative vision is more true to the concept, I do understand the frustration of not seeing cool fan ideas for the rooms. Stylistically, though, they would have been very out of place. But put it in another film with another filmmaker, I'd love to see it delving deeper into layers of hell, like the games, like the fan lore, like the books, like any other media. Slow burn, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I completely understand that, but the people saying that this film was boring and nothing happened, seem to be the same people that wanted the fan lore of the Backrooms to be the film, not the actual Backrooms. I can understand why someone can see it as boring, but I believe the slowness and sometimes emptiness works in favour of the film. If you discover another world that you're not even sure is real, you'd be too in awe to search it at a fast pace. You would walk around aimlessly not understanding what you're seeing. Unlike the YouTube series, Clark gets transported through a portal he can continuously access. Victims in the series fell from the ceiling, and that they can no longer access, and therefore were stuck. So by allowing Clark to go back and forth, helped the theme of fleeting sanity work because it became an obsession and an addiction for Clark to keep discovering more and more to distract himself from his real problems, but not realizing the rooms are having a grave toll on his mind and dragging other people into his issues, like his employees and Mary. This kind of psychological exploration and character-driven story will not be everyone's cup of tea, but please try and have a smart conversation instead of going to appreciation posts and blurting out your opinions like everyone needs to think like you. Is boring. Sound smarter if you're gonna hate. Come on, you better than that. Thirdly, this is not a shallow criticism of online. It's more so a criticism that I have, and it's not one that will say, this is why this film can't be 10 out of 10, you can't like this film, this is terrible. I'm not going to say that. This is just from me. I'm saying something bad I don't like about the film, and if you don't think it was a bad thing, fine. All subjective. Mark Duplass was so underutilized. He appeared in less than 5 minutes, and to underutilize an actor with his range, it's a sin. I understand they're making a sequel and he might have a bigger role in the next story, but if you treat this as a standalone film, which is very easy to, wraps up very nicely, feels like a nobody. Even though I love the very little time that we had with him. That's a take you might not agree with, or at least I didn't show a grave misunderstanding about the source material. Overall, I believe this film is absolutely outstanding. It blew my expectations away, and it's such a beautiful achievement. Like Ken Parsons, as young as he is, so successful, both critically and in the box office. It gives me hope as a film student that I may have a chance to prove myself. Companies will see how successful this film was and take more risks with the young, ambitious minds. And the rise of YouTuber and comedian horror has been positively changing the landscape of the genre and makes me optimistic for its future. I give this a solid 9 out of 10. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Letterboxd, which is in the description below and in my channel bio. Please also give your takes in the comments, whether they're positive or negative, I will read them. I am at that point in my career where reading them is barely even a chore. Give me recommendations for films. I will always make a video on recommendations. Not every film I watch myself will have a video, just the ones that come out this year or the current year, or ones that make me really think, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I will try to make videos that come out every Sunday, so stay tuned, and thank you again.